Namaste and a very warm welcome to all our viewers across the globe. Welcome to another episode of the show. Uh, in fact, as I was talking just before Aditi joined in, we started this show as the author's show. The first episode was on 24th of October 2021. And today's episode is the 44th episode. And we are also recording this episode, and I will also I'll share the recording on my YouTube channel. So those who have not been able to join, and we will share the link on the various social media handles. So those who have not been able to join today, they can also view the recording. So before I introduce the guest of the evening, let me introduce the moderator. Our moderator this evening is Vardhan Dharkar. So let me put the spotlight on Vardhan now. Vardhan is a multifaceted personality. I met him 15 years back, 15 and a half years back when I joined the corporate world. And he has been the most surprising element, I would say, a friend in my life. He is a finance he's a physics graduate, and he was the CFO in the corporate. He quit everything, and then currently he has so many hobbies, so many things that he wants to do, and so many things that he keeps doing. He is learning Sanskrit, he is reading Bhagavad Gita, and he travels and he clicks photographs. The calendar behind him that you see is also of the photographs that he has clicked. So that is Vardhan Dharkar for you. And so welcome to the show, Vardhan, once again. And that's our guest of the evening. Few of you already know her, but still, let me introduce her. Writer, traveler, and a cold coffee addict, precisely in that order. Aditi Jindal is a writer first and other roles later. While her love for travel translated into blogging, her desire for storytelling had her dabbling in publishing stories. Her debut fiction novel, Do I Not Marry, was longlisted for the AutHer Awards in 2024. Currently, she is embracing the Polish life in Krakow with her husband and daughter. That's Aditi for you. And about her book, the title is, in fact, quite, I would say, you can understand, Do I Not Marry? And it is actually the conflict that many young women from this generation are going through. So I think we'll leave it to Vardhan and Aditi to talk more about her journey and her book. And I'll move out of the frame. Over to you, Vardhan. Over to you, Aditi.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Sanjay, for your warm and interesting introduction. And namaste to all the viewers in Bharat and outside of Bharat. Welcome to the show. As Sanjay mentioned, our guest tonight is very talented and multifaceted personality. Welcome, Aditi, to the show.
Thank you, Vardhan.
Sanjay described you as the writer, traveler, and the coffee addict, cold coffee addict in that order. However, I am going to reverse that order and start the conversation with coffee as the first thing. Is that okay with you?
Yes, I'm pretty much fine with that. Anything that works for you, yeah.
Perfect. So my first question, my curiosity is that why coffee and why cold coffee? So why not something else? Why not filter coffee? Why not? There are so many other forms of coffee. So why only cold coffee?
Yes, but there's this thing that not here in Poland, but back in India, the winters for me were quite bearable. And I remember that I would still wait for the afternoon, winter afternoon, and then I will have my glass of cold coffee because, yeah, that's why I say I think it's kind of addiction now. I'm trying to do away with it now that I'm here. But I enjoy cold coffee. Like it goes above and beyond all other drinks for me. I don't think so. There is uh, a more wholesome drink than cold coffee for me. It works for me. So that's kind of my drink, my beverage.
Perfect. Perfect. So that's about your coffee or the cold coffee. And why do you call it addiction? Why don't you call it love? Love for cold
Uh,
coffee.
so the thing is, why I call it addiction is because if someone is having a cold coffee every day, even when they're winters, it is an addiction. Then you cannot do without it. That is an addiction. There was a time I used to call, yes, I love cold coffee, but I feel that some at one point now it's become an addiction for me. That's why.
And where do you get the best cold coffee?
Where will I get? So I have to say that you get. I haven't traveled that much, but I feel you get in Delhi. There's Deepal's. They serve you
Mhm.
really good cold coffee. In Bangalore, you have many hotspots. I think there is Hati Kapi. There are many such joints, and over there you get very good cold coffee. I would say I enjoy the coffee that they brew in India, at least the cold coffee.
Perfect. So moving on from coffee to the traveling,
Hmm.
your second passion, second love, is
Yes.
that you have traveled extensively in India and outside of India. Now, I
Yes.
wanted to ask you a question, is that if we have to rate India in terms of ease of travel, whether
Hmm.
India will come in top five,
Whether India will come?
in top five, in terms of ease of travel.
Ease of travel. Okay. Ease of travel. See, India is, I feel it's like a bouquet of, huge bouquet of lot of variety, a lot of different cultures and all. So if you say ease of travel, I would not say it comes in top five, but if you say the kind of attraction it has, definitely the diversity. Like if I'm sitting here and I look at all the destinations across the globe, if I forget what is ease of travel, definitely India scores because it's like you visit one country and there is so much to explore and everything is different. Like the north is different from the south, it's different from the east, it's different from the west, is different from the central. And when I say different, it's really different. It's like contrasting. It's like day and night. So, in terms of that wholesome travel experience, of course, India scores way beyond. But when it comes to ease of travel within India, I don't think so. We are still there yet. I think the infrastructure, safety, and lot many things they have to kind of brace up over there.
Okay. And if I have to ask you a further question on that, is
Mm-hmm.
that what is it that government, private sector, and we as citizens have to do to improve that?
I think the first and foremost thing is safety. I really feel that if someone's coming from even within India, not just foreigners coming in, the first thing is we need to make them feel safe. There should be a lot of information centers across, in languages, at least English and native language. That really helps because someone who comes to one city to visit one city wants to explore more, but they should have like a chain of eye centers where they know that okay, let's look for an eye center and let's move around and let's ask them what more I can do. Second thing is stop littering. Government has put, of course, there are provisions, but it's up to the citizens to kind of really use those provisions and use it judiciously, use it wisely. So that is very important, very critical. And the other thing that is very significant is I think the kind of hygiene that is maintained across the Shauchalaya chain, which is there. That is very, very important. More of that within cities when you entering into, especially I think when you do the east part of India. Even if I go, being born, brought up, raised in India, if I go and travel to the eastern side of, and it's beautiful, the transport, the infrastructure is not that great. It could have been much better. There should be more options. There should be a proper timetable as to what it goes. It should be printed if there are changes. So a lot of agility is needed on that side. So I think as much as there is a lot that India has to offer, can offer, hospitality industry is doing it bit by, now we have these boutique hotels, we have these Airbnbs. There are so many things that are there. So hospitality industry does its part, but there's a lot that is left on the citizens who are using those facilities. They should consider that if there's a tourist who's lost, and genuinely you need to really help them out. So those are the things that need to be done. But let's, yeah, like they say, that hope for the best. So hopefully, yes, we'll make it to the top five.
I think what you have said makes immense sense. But do you think that in last 10 years or so there has been significant improvement, or do you think that we are
Yes.
still not
Yes,
making good
definitely. So, like I
progress?
said, I give you example of the eastern part of India. So when I say the rest of the city, like let's say the south part of India, especially the north, because the first attraction usually someone who's outside India comes from is obviously the Taj Mahal. So for them, the north, the Delhi, and it's very the flights to the capital city. I think every nook and corner of the world you have direct flights or connecting flights to Delhi at least. So there have been done, like I said, even provision of the trash cans, the recycling bins. The government has done a bit, but it's up to the citizens to kind of really use it and not litter around the roads. So there has been, of course, significant changes in the last 10 years. But there's a lot that not just government, even we have to do, and we have to be more agile and on this forefront. And we have to not stop. So what happens, what usually I've seen is that you continue doing it, then you pause for a while, then you shift your focus towards the other side. But these reforms have to be consistently every year done, and they should be checked even. So it's not like once done and forgotten. So it has to come back and see whether the facility is working or not.
I think what you say makes immense sense, and I hope that in coming years we will be better than what we are today.
Yes, yes.
Now, coming to your first love, writing. When did you realize that you can write, and that is something which people love reading?
I was, I think, born in I was raised in a family where we were not, my family wasn't much of a reader. So I didn't know that
Mhm.
people actually like reading. Besides, I had friends who used to, have these books borrowed from the library or from the kiosk for a few days. So those were the
Mm.
only few pleasures that reading I was known to. But when I realized writing was probably the thing I enjoyed the most was probably in grade 10. I was writing my essays, and my language teacher told me that the structure in which you write is really nice, and that was very encouraging for me at that point of time, because there was no further subject where besides marks you were evaluated, and language is a subject where it's very subject. You cannot have a cent percent result in a language, so there used to be this encouragement. I think if it wasn't the teacher who kind of again and again told me, and then I was fortunate enough to get a very good language teacher in grade 11, grade 12, who kept just telling me that, probably your essays are the thing. So I didn't know whether story writing was my thing, but it all started with essays and then probably moved into writing. And then I entered college, Delhi College of Arts and Commerce in Delhi. I had a teacher over there and took part in debates. I got my internship with Grey Worldwide. I started copywriting for a lot of brands as an intern. And I enjoyed the process. I felt it was, a lot of brainstorming. It was thinking beyond. It was how, words could really change the world around you. And slowly, I won't say that I'm still there yet. I think miles to go before I really call myself that I really ace it, and I want to learn every day the skill of writing.
Okay. So, apart from your teacher, was there any other guide or motivator who helped you in your journey?
I think there were people I met across when I was publishing my a very short attempt I did on a children fiction. It was very small. It wasn't a pan India release or something, but I just had a story because I had just actually fractured my knee, so I was on a very long 2 3 months rest, and I quit my job during that time, and I just started writing without knowing where it would lead to. And when I finished it, I realized that okay, it's turning out into a story, and that's when I met one of the persons. He's called Pradeep Gulati. He used to work with publishing house called Vikas Books, and then he moved on, and I think now he has his own setup. He was very encouraging to me as an outside professional, because I didn't know him. He didn't know me. We just worked, on few projects for some educational books. But I think the kind of clarity he had and the kind of encouragement he gave, given that, I was nowhere related to him and, nothing like that, that was really nice. And I think I just kept meeting people after that. He was a very big influence.
One of the book that you have written, The Green Gadgets, about the dark side of the gadgets that we are using and the impact of that on the environment. Maybe you can talk about that book very briefly in terms of what motivated you to write about this particular aspect.
So honestly, this book was more a project for me because I remember I was approached by Terry Press. They were working. I don't know how they reached out to me. That's still a big puzzle for me. But I before that I had written a book called "Become a Facebook Champ," which was by Pustak Mahal, and I organized the structure of that book that was done for tier two, tier three cities to familiarize them with the Facebook concept. Green Gadgets was a concept by Terry Press, and they reached out to me saying that this is a project and it's like a one time project where we would want you to author it. We have a kind of vague idea, but probably it's meant for teenagers, and we see this is coming up a lot in teenagers, and it's going to be, it's going to be one of those books which will stay around still. So the editor then was Mr. Rupak Ghosh. We had very good discussions, and somewhere I felt that this was probably a book where I could give a lot, tell a lot. And while I was working on the book, as a person also myself, I felt that, there is so much more that I can do in terms to how judiciously we should use gadgets. So that was a brainchild of Terry Press, but I was lucky enough to be part of there, and it was a great project.
Okay. I think it's something which all of us have to be conscious about because increasingly we are becoming, I will use the word addicted to the gadgets.
Yes.
And that is something which you have to be careful about. Now, coming to your debut novel, Do I Not Marry? Can you talk about that book to our viewers, the theme, the protagonist, and how did you find this topic? It's a very relevant and contemporary topic that you have written about. Maybe you can share your thoughts on that.
Sure. So the book is there. I always keep it wherever I show it. I know it hasn't reached you, but I promise after this it will reach you soon. I've asked the publisher to do that. This was in 2015, honestly, when I moved my base from Gurgaon to Bangalore. Um, and it was a very different landscape for me. I was working in a company where I was surprised that people, a lot of them, my colleagues, were in live-in relationships, and they were very candid about it. And that was a very new space for me. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that this side of India is very different than the other side of India, which I thought, being in the capital city, I probably thought that I'm already at the edge, I'm already there. And that's where I still remember I was working on something and I just wrote one line that, marriage versus live-in relationship. I thought I'll just write and I just kept it there. And I slept on it for a year because I was working and everything. I never did anything like that. But then I feel that somewhere, I when you write a story, and even if you are very passionate about it, if you kind of pause it, the story reaches to you in some forms. Even if you try, you're busy or something. And I used to meet people. It's very surreal how I kept meeting people from all walks of life, getting married, who were in a live-in relationships. And somewhere I felt that, and every time I was making these notes and I was like, I think it may turn out into a novel. Let's just probably see. And I discussed it with my friend, a very dear friend of mine. And usually I discuss whenever I have a story idea with her. And she said, okay, maybe you could, write something about it. I said, okay, let's see what it comes around. And then I started writing. And because I was on the marriage side, I had a lot of friends who were on the marriage side. And somewhere I felt all of our stories are related. It's the same drill. It's the same kind of issue. And then there was another set, which was live in relationships. And you always, in the book also, I said that, grass is always greener on the other side. You always feel you could have given a thought to a live in relationship. You could have married. But both the paths have their own struggle, and that's where there was a point when I remember that I thought, should I show that, there is one side, one path which is victorious, which is probably you can say that okay, marriage is a success or live in relationships, but no, it's not like that. There is no guarantee to any relationship, especially in the age that we live in right now. I think it's about the choices we make. So as I was writing, progressing towards a story, I actually realized that it's not about who wins, whether marriage wins or a live in relationships. It's about that whether you really want your relationship to win, whether you're married or in a live-in relationship. Are you in for it to work every day? It could be that, and the only two people who should be able to take this call is the two people who are involved in it. Whether they are married, whether they are in a live-in relationship, whether they are comfortable with that setup. You'll have a lot of noise around you, of course, but are you ready to work on it? So that's how the whole journey started, and eventually it turned out into a story. And yes, I think yes, I met a lot of people who kind of where I drew inspiration from. I felt that their struggles should be somewhat heard of. Like it was very disheartening to hear of one of my colleague who was in a living relationship for like 5 years, and she said, my family has no clue about it, and it's okay. And she said the only part which hurts me most is that my friends know everything about it, but my family doesn't know, and I'm very scared to share that. So
Mm.
those are the stories I want to bring out.
Mhm. And after the book was published, what was the reaction of your friends or your colleagues and society at large?
I don't know about society in large, but I think the colleagues, friends, or whatever messages I have received is that they were kind of happy that the book didn't have a very, it didn't work. It didn't favor any one side. It was
Mm.
showing the pros and cons of both. So they said when they picked up the book, they felt that probably during the course of the book, it would be shown that, this is what you should do. This is what, but in a way it goes with both walks of life, and it tells you that it alerts you that yes, there are cons. It also tells you that how beautiful it could be. So that is the kind of feedback that I've received from them, that the both sides have consistently parallelly reached. And one of the feedback came from, I think there was this very young college girl, and she was like that. She told me that it is just amazing that how the two stories are parallelly running and intertwined, and how they connect and disconnect. So she says that, after a point, it felt so interesting that I felt that there's probably a show running in images on my head. And I was like, thank you. Maybe I should look for that now next.
So any thoughts on making an OTT serial or a movie? Is
I,
that a thought
yeah,
that
I'd
has
love
crossed
to.
your mind?
I would love to do that. The launch that I have in Gurgaon in November last year, it was in Quill and Canvas bookshop in Gurgaon, and there was one of the viewer who told me that probably this should come out a series. So she told me that you should
Mm.
approach. I haven't really done it, but I'd love to do that. Of course, I think as a writer, it's like. It'll be a dream come true to see something which I wrote and written is actually put into image and screen. And haven't thought about it, haven't worked towards it, but I'd love to have this because I think I'll go back to where it all started was, which was that I wanted to put this. It's not about the story going on; it's about people talking about it. For me, what was very important when I was writing and why I wanted the book to be out is that people should start talking about this. People should start talking about living relationships, about marriages. They should kind of normalize it, normalize talking about it. You should not shy away and keep all these relationships behind the closet. I do understand, I hear a lot of them who are in such relationships that it's easier said than done. But for me, what was more important was to trigger this conversation, was to start and talk about that, people should be candid. They should at least be open enough in front of their parents. I mean, forget about the outside noise that you have, but at least with your parents, you should be able to talk about this. You should be able to say that it works for you. So those dialogues, that conversation starter, for me, that was very important. And book was something that I could do. I am not like a celebrity who has a lot of followers and, I can, the story's out and it reaches and the dialogue start. But yes, if, something like an OTT comes up, it would be a really, the idea which was back then, many years ago, which was to start this dialogue would only enhance. We, of course, have a lot of such content nowadays available where people are vocal, people want to talk about it. And that would be great. That would be really great if that happens.
I think I completely agree with you. Is that it's important to have a dialogue and discussion, and it's such a sensitive and serious topic that society at large needs to think about that. So, coming to your future plans, what are the future plans? What should we expect from you in next 12 months, 24 months?
I think yes, of course, there's writing that stays with me, but one of the things also is to kind of see how the book actually goes around and swells across different geographies. I do have, in fact, one of the talk shows next week here in Krakow, in Poland. This is a foreign authors program, and it is basically one of the topics is like the changing Indian mindsets of the millennials. And I would be talking on my book of how kind of millennials have changed post pandemic specifically. The change has always been there, but it has always stayed in the subconscious. We always have a lot to talk about, but post pandemic, suddenly, because everyone had a lot to introspect on, everyone had this inner courage that really bloomed like anything. And that is why the kind of mindset that has changed, people want to talk about such things. So the book, the one is the talk show that I have, and I aim to, because we do have a lot of Indians there, and I was quite surprised to see that even the local people here in Poland were very eager to know about India and the millennials mindset. They were very, very interested to kind of see that, and especially I think when it comes to a novel which just string with the culture and like families and marriage, they're very interested to know that how it all works. So I'm really looking forward to that one. There will be more talk shows. I would be more going forward and talking more in terms of creative writing and communication space here. And that is the plan. And of course, short stories, something that I'm looking at. I have done some few short stories even before with Juggernaut and one of other editor at Keeping Zen, Prachi. And I would be interested to probably start something like a short story. The market is very skewed for short stories right now. So that's the only hitch. But I think, when you decide that you really want to, you somewhere at one point do not think about it. But yes, the publisher kind of reminds you and shakes you up that you really need to be with the market and move on. So yes, that's what I'm looking at. But yes, more writing, more in terms of creative writing and communication space here in Poland that I would be giving workshops on. There will be more book talks over here. And whenever something will be out, of course, I will keep uh, people behind the show, you and Sanjay, noted about this. And hopefully, yes.
So, Sanjay, do we have time for rapid fire?
Very quick, just about one and a half
Okay,
minutes.
so
Yeah, please go ahead.
Aditi, we also have a rapid fire round as part
Oh
of
my
the show.
God.
We will very quickly do it. So, first question, your favorite traveling destination?
I think Italy. That's what comes to my mind. And yes, it is. I think back in India is Rajasthan, my all-time favorite.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. The destination that surprised you most while traveling?
The destination that surprised me most, I think Kerala. I think it's just
Okay,
full. Yeah, yeah, Kerala.
okay. One thing that you always carry with you while traveling?
That I always carry with me while traveling. Tissues. Yeah, tissue paper.
Okay, okay. Complete the line. My idea of bliss is.
My idea of bliss is having, if it's seasonal actually, but a book, sitting in a cafe reading a book with hot cocoa if it is really cold outside, or with cold coffee if it is summer.
Perfect. I think you score 100 out of 100. Now let me hand you over to Sanjay to take it forward.
So that was a very insightful conversation from someone so young, Aditi, that
Thank you.
talk about the relationship, and I mean whether it's marriage or a live-in relationship or any relationship, one has to work towards it. My wife
Yeah.
and I would be completing 40 years of marriage in November. And yes, every day we continue to work on that, and so that was really wonderful. Uh,
Thank you.
and it was really nice to have you with us, Aditi, and would love to have you for future episodes as well. And I
Yes,
would
thank
like to
you.
wish you all the best for the OTT series. In fact, recently I have also pitched my latest book, Behind Closed Doors. A couple of producers approached me. So
Okay.
things are fluid, I would say. It's not an
All the
easy.
best to you.
Yeah. So
Yes.
thank you, and all the best to you as well. I think if you would like to, then we can share pointers on how to go about it.
Yes.
We can do that.
Sure, we could do that.
And viewers, please do read Do I Not Marry?
Yeah. I'll just put
Or
it.
Aditi's Do I Not Marry? And please do share reviews of the book, because reviews
Yes.
are extremely important for the writer
Important.
or the author.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so I would like to thank you, Aditi, Vardhan, and the viewers who are there. I'll be
Mm.
sharing the recording on my YouTube channel, and then the link on various social media handles. I'll be tagging Aditi as well as Vardhan also. Please do like and subscribe to my channel as well. So that was once again a very nice evening, a very wonderful conversation. And thank you all so very much. Thank you, Aditi, once again. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. It has been a
Thank
great
you.
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, Vardhan. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.